Welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of the podcast. We are on, what episode is this? 11, 12? I've lost count, one of those. But we've got a pretty fun episode. Yeah, okay. We've got a pretty fun episode here. We've got some NFL news for the first time in a while. We're going to go over another division today, the NFC East. We're going to be talking about the trade deadline, NBA Summer League, and then we've got a new game here for the end. As always, I am joined by Nickinator, if you'd like to tell the people anything.
As always, not much to say. Just glad to be back and ready to get back into it.
All right, so let's not waste any time, and we will start off with the NFL. A few days ago, we had I guess you can call it a bombshell, that DeAndre Hopkins has signed a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans, which it seems like a lot of people were kind of surprised by that, expecting him to go to a contender, maybe the Chiefs, maybe the Bills. But it did seem like the Titans were one of the front runners for quite a while, and they're able to sign him for 2 years for a little bit under $30 million total. And I have seen some very interesting takes on this signing that I really don't agree with. The biggest one has to be that a lot of people are calling Tennessee the place where formerly elite receivers go to die. Players like Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, and very recently Julio Jones, who was traded for a second-round pick, whereas Hopkins wasn't traded for anything. However, I really disagree with that because I feel like the three players I just said were already very clearly on the decline when they got to the Titans, but I don't feel the same way about DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like he's still got a lot left in the tank. I still view him as a top 10-ish receiver in the NFL, and he played pretty well last year when he came back from his suspension, and obviously he has performed well before that too. So I feel like he'll still be able to be on the top of this game, and I don't think the Titans are that bad of a landing spot for him. The things that he really wanted was good quarterback play and a quarterback who loves the game. He wanted a stable management, a good head coach, and I feel like he's getting those things with the Titans, which not a lot of people think. But Mike Vrabel's one of the better coaches in the league. Ryan Tannehill obviously isn't phenomenal or anything, but you can do a lot worse than Ryan Tannehill. He's still a solid quarterback. I mean, he's not great, but he does the job. So I really don't see the issue that a lot of people see with this. And my hot take with this signing is that although I'm still finalizing my predictions, I think there's a real shot the Titans can not only win the AFC South, but win it by multiple games. I feel like their team is pretty good. If you remember last year, they were good for most of the year. They were, I think, 7-3 at one point, and it looked like they were going to run away with the division again before they got hammered by injuries. They had Josh Dobbs and Malik Willis playing at quarterback at the end. So I think if the Titans can get a little bit of injury luck this year, which they have not over recent years, there's no reason to think they can't win this division and maybe not be as good as they've been in past years, but be a tough out when it comes to December and January.
When I first realized that he signed with the Titans, I was confused because I was like, okay, he's going to go to one of these big teams in the AFC. He's going to go get his ring, and he's going to be a happy guy. And I see the Titans. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I sat there. I thought about it for a little more longer. And I really like this signing, not only for the now, like as you said, this puts them clear more into that race for the AFC South. Wide receiver is easily the Titans' weakest position. They might instantly get a good top 15 receiver who, sure, he's a little older, but he's still really good. And I would get into what he did on the Cardinals, but I think he was fantastic on the Cardinals. And even though he missed a couple of games last year because of that suspension, even when he's not on PEDs, he is a fantastic receiver and can easily be a top 10 guy. And in terms of the passing talent between guys like Kyler Murray and Ryan Tannehill, it's in terms of passing, they're similar, I'd say. I think Tannehill's a really good passer, and Hopkins has dealt with really bad QBs in his career. So having a guy like Ryan Tannehill be able to throw him the ball, as long as Tannehill stays healthy, he's not going to be able to complain about. He said he wanted a good defense. I think the Titans' defense is an underrated unit, and they're going to be getting Harold Landry back after injury all year. And I love this signing, really. And the big thing is not just with Tannehill. If Tannehill does get hurt, it looks like the Titans will be having Will Levis as that QB2. Like right now, the reports are saying that even if Malik Willis is outperforming Will Levis in training camp, they want Will Levis as that QB2. They see Will Levis as a project guy who could be that future QB1. And if Tannehill does get injured like he did last year, Levis is probably the guy who's going to have to step up and be the QB1. And having a guy like Hopkins as that number one, as that insurance, as opposed to Traylon Burks as a number one, which isn't ideal, you can have the security blanket along with having King Henry as running back to be able to rely on that. But in that passing game, getting a guy like Hopkins is fantastic for this team. This is just the thing that they needed. Sure, they got rid of A.J. Brown a few years ago, but that was the old GM, and he's fired now. At this point, with the new GM, he's doing what he can with the roster that he has, and getting a guy like Hopkins is a fantastic move for this team.
All right, let's now take a look at our NFC East preview. We've gone over all of the AFC divisions over the previous 4 episodes. Now we are shifting over to the NFC, and one could easily argue the NFC East is one of, if not the best divisions in football. It certainly was last year with 3 different teams winning playoff games. So we'll start with your favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles, who won the NFC East last year. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They were very clearly the best team in the NFC, and for most of the year, they were the best team in the NFL. They've got a phenomenal roster. Howie Roseman's done a great job, and I like this team again. They did lose quite a few pieces, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps, the 2 safeties, are gone. TJ Edwards is gone, so they're going to rely on some younger players to really step up. Javon Hargrave signed a big deal with the 49ers. So realistically, you can expect their defense to be worse. They are also losing Jonathan Gannon, who wasn't the best defensive coordinator, but he wasn't horrible. So I'm curious to see how a lot of these younger guys step up. Nakobe Dean is definitely a name I've got my eye on. He did not really play a whole lot last year because he didn't need to. But now he's going to slide in, and he's going to have a big role as one of the inside linebackers. I'm curious to see what the safety position looks like. I'm curious to see if one of these younger guys can step up and become the playmaker that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was. They do at their corner room back with Bradbury and Slay, who both at one point looked like they were going to leave, and now they're both back with Avonte Maddox in the slot. They've got a phenomenal edge pairing with Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, and I think Jalen Carter will be able to make a big impact as a rookie. The offense, meanwhile, is very similar to what it was last year. Other than Miles Sanders and Isaac Seumalo, pretty much everybody here is back. Jalen Hurts signed his long-term deal. Now, they did lose their main play caller, Shane Steichen, so we'll see how the offense looks without him. But on paper, the offense is just as good as it was last year. You still got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, 2 top 15 to 20 receivers at the worst. Their offensive line is great. Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson are arguably the best players at their positions. Landon Dickerson was a Pro Bowler last year. Jordan Mailata is a Pro Bowl caliber player. Dallas Goedert is really good. DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny are super good when healthy. The problem is neither of them are ever healthy. There's so much talent on this team. I do not know how Howie Roseman keeps doing it, but there's no reason to think these guys can't be a contender again as long as the play calling from the coordinators can match what they got last year from Steichen and Gannon.
Yeah, like looking at the offense is pretty much the exact same offense as last year. Jalen Hurts is on his mega deal now, and he is looking to take even another big step after his MVP caliber year, after finishing runner-up behind Mahomes. Being able to produce as a passer was a big thing going into last year. And now this year, he is a fantastic passer. I was a Jalen Hurts hater. I thought he was bad. I wanted to tank and get Bryce Young. But I'm not going to complain for already having a franchise QB. But if he can develop his passing even more, then this team has no bounds to how far they can go. The running back position is the main thing that's going to be different for this offense. Like you said, Swift and Penny are the main 2 guys, but they're injury prone. So eventually by week 7, when both of them are hurt, we'll have probably Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott, who are both reliable. But behind this O-line with 4 Pro Bowl caliber players is going to be great. And the only other change is Cam Jurgens going to be playing right guard, who we thought was going to be the center behind Kelsey. But just like Landon Dickerson, he's going to move to guard and replace Isaac Seumalo, who went to the Steelers, I believe. And I do want to see how he performs at right guard. I know Kelsey had a lot of praise for Jurgens, so I'm really interested to see what he can do playing guard now. And the big thing I think that people aren't talking about is how we lost both our coordinators. I believe that's what happened after the 2017 year, after we won the Super Bowl. We lost Frank Reich, he went to the Colts. And now we lose Shane Steichen, who also goes to the Colts. The new OC, Brian Johnson, is actually a family friend of Jalen Hurts. He's known him since he was a kid. So they already have a connection. He is going to expected to be the play caller for the offense. and he was, I believe, the OC with the Gators when Kyle Trask was there. So he has a little bit of play calling caliber. He's played with guys similar like Anthony Richardson. I believe he's had a little bit of connection there. But like I said, he's known Jalen Hurts for a long time. He knows how he plays. He knows how he's going to run. I think he's got the offense locked down. And then I'm going to try and hurry this up with defense. We lose a lot of players, but we have a lot of guys coming back. We lost Javon Hargrave, but we have Fletcher Cox coming back, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. That duo from Georgia is going to be fantastic. Brandon Graham is older, but he had 11 sacks last year. He's fantastic. Josh Sweat, another 11, 12 sack guy. Hassan Reddick, second for Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to be unstoppable. The linebacker cover unit is going to be a little question, having Nakobe Dean and Nicholas Morrow there. Nicholas Morrow, I am curious to see how he performs. He has played with our new defense corner, Sean Desai. He was a DC for the Bears back when they had a good defense. So I am curious to see what he's going to be able to do with such a fantastic front four with BG, Carter, Davis, Cox, Sweat, Reddick, and being able to develop guys like Nakobe Dean and seeing what we can do with those safeties. We have Terrell Edmonds coming from the Steelers, maybe kind of be like a box safety type of guy. But I really want to see what Reed Blankenship can do. He is slotted in as the starting free safety. He played a good bit towards the later half of the year while senior Gardner Johnson was hurt. And he had some good flashes, but there were some issues there, especially in coverage. So I do want to see if he can break out. I feel like Sidney Brown, the rookie, is going to be able to get some snaps here and there. I have a lot of praise for him. And I think being able to develop guys like Keely Ringo and all those Georgia rookies, and being able to develop these young guys into being able to take over those spots for these older players, I think that's going to be the new mold. In a year or two, BG and Cox are going to be gone. You have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat will probably move onto the D line. Now probably Reddick on the D line, and they'll be able to move plenty of guys. Have Nolan Smith take over where Reddick is, move Reddick to the front. They'll be able to figure it out. Harry Resman is a wizard. I have no question that he'll be able to take this roster and make it the best of what it can be, even if the talent is fantastic. With a fantastic talent like this, there's no bounds for this team.
Next up, let's take a look at the Eagles' arch rival, the Dallas Cowboys, who had a pretty successful season last year as the top wild card in the NFC. They won a playoff game before losing in San Francisco. And I think this team could be just as good, if not better, than the Eagles, largely dependent on the play of Dak Prescott, who has been inconsistent at times throughout his career, but he is still certainly an above-average quarterback. Tony Pollard is going to be there, unlike the other franchise-tagged running backs. It doesn't seem like he's going to hold out. They've got a good receiving core. I think CeeDee Lamb is a lot better than people realize. I think everybody knows that he's good, but I don't know if people realize how good he is. He's a total stud. They added Brandon Cooks. Michael Gallup's going to be another year removed from his injury, which is good. And the offensive line, of course, is really strong as well, although Zach Martin is looking to get a new deal, and it seems like he is going to be holding out for the start of training camp. I assume they're going to get that worked out because they know they need him. The one concern I have with the offense is the play calling. They let go of, Kellen Moore, who's now with the Chargers. Mike McCarthy seems like he's going to be the main guy running the offense this year from what I know, so I don't know if that's the best idea in the world. And then defensively, they do have some questions here. They have some phenomenal players on this side of the ball. Obviously, Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. They've added Maisie Smith in the first round. They still have Tank Lawrence, who I think still has quite a bit left in the tank. Their defensive line is a strong unit. I think their secondary is really underrated as well. Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore is one of the 5 best cornerback tandems in the NFL. And their safety tandem, Donovan Wilson and Jalen Kearse, both pretty solid players within their own right. They also have one of the best defensive play callers in the league with Dan Quinn, who's really, really good at his job. I'm really surprised he hasn't gotten another look as a head coach. So I think this defense could be one of the better units in the league if everybody is able to stay healthy. They've got good guys up front, and their secondary is one of the most underrated units really in the entire league. They're not really getting that much attention, but they should, honestly.
Yeah, this team on paper has the talent to be able to compete with the Eagles. I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can, as these are my arch rivals. I do hate them. But on offense, they have a fantastic unit. I can't even argue that. Dak Prescott did struggle a bit towards the second half of the year last year, but I do think he'll be able to kind of bounce back. It's going to be weird to see Mike McCarthy calling plays again after Kellen Moore is gone, but he has been a coach for a long time. I'm sure he'll be able to do just fine. But Tony Pollard, I'm a big fan of. I love him. Being able to get a starting role, being the only main guy here in the backfield is going to be really nice. I can't wait to see what he's able to do by himself without Zeke there. And as you said, CeeDee Lamb is fantastic. Brandon Cooks has been stranded in Houston for a while now. And now that he's on Dallas, he actually might be able to do something. Michael Gallup, I do love him. He struggled a bit last year after coming back from injury. But like you said, this is a second year after an injury. He might be able to do something now, especially now that he's the number 3 guy behind Cooks and Lamb. He shouldn't be getting as many targets, but also he won't have as strong as corner on him. It's going to be interesting to see what they have at tight end. Right now they have Jake Ferguson as the guy after Dalton Schultz left for Houston. And the O-line, as always, is going to be good. It'll be questioned to see what happens with Zach Martin, but I'm sure they'll get a deal done. And then the defense on paper, you want to question it. Besides a few players like Parsons, Tank Lawrence, Diggs, and Gilmore, besides those 4, you want to question it and be like, hey, there's some issues here. But Dan Quinn, since he has arrived in Dallas, has made this unit into a fantastic unit. Before Dan Quinn arrived as DC, this defense was atrocious. This was the reason they weren't winning games. It was the reason they weren't making the playoffs. It was atrocious. Dan Quinn arrives, it's somehow a top 15, top 10 unit. Tank Lawrence, while I'm a little under on him, but he is still really good. Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. He's fantastic. Leighton Vander Esch, people thought he'd be cut at some point, but Dan Quinn would be able to turn him into a reliable linebacker. Gilmore, even though he's like 34 years old, he is still really good. Trayvon Diggs has gotten better at covering the ball and still gets as many interceptions as always. And they've turned guys like Javon Kearse and Donovan Wilson into really good safeties. I'm really interested in what Jabril Cox can do as a linebacker. Mozzie Smith, the first-round pick this past year at Michigan, going to be really nice to see what he can do covering the run, especially guys like Jalen Hurts and that QB sneak. It's going to be interesting to see how this defense performs, as always, and I'm really curious to see if Dak Prescott will be on the over or under for that 10 interceptions.
One of the more fascinating teams this year, in my opinion, is the New York Giants. They were a major surprise last year, not only grabbing a wild card spot, but winning a playoff game on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. I really like what Joe Shane and Brian Daboll have done with this team. They've developed young guys well. I think they had a really good offseason and a really good draft, adding guys like Deonte Banks, John Michael Schmitz, and Jalen Hyatt, all with pretty good value selections. But I still do have some questions about this team, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Saquon Barkley will not be reporting to training camp, so who knows what the status is there, whether or not he plays early in the season. It seems like some of these running backs are really fed up about their contract situations, which is understandable. So I would assume there's a real shot that Saquon Barkley misses time through the preseason and training camp. We'll see if he comes around during the regular season, but if not, their backfield behind him is pretty bad, and Barkley's been an injury-prone player throughout his career as well. The other guys on their team aren't necessarily inspiring you. I mean, you've got Matt Breida, maybe Eric Gray shows something, but, I mean, it's not pretty. So I think they're going to need a leap up from Daniel Jones, and that is certainly the expectation they have for him regardless, being that he just signed a massive contract extension. They're clearly high on his future. They gave him a big-time weapon in Darren Waller. Does he still have a lot left in the tank? He is getting a little bit older. He has missed some time over the last couple of years, and he's going to have to be the number one receiver because their wide receiver room is not great. We saw Isaiah Hodgins really step up last year, but is he a number one? I can confidently say no. Defensively, I do like this unit. Dexter Lawrence was phenomenal last year. Will he be able to replicate the season that he had? Will they be able to get breakouts from young guys like Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari on the edge? Their secondary has some talent. I'm curious to see if Deonte Banks proves to be as good as I think he can be. Will Adoree Jackson and Xavier McKinney continue to play well? I think they certainly can, but they're going to rely on some of these young players like Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas to have as good of seasons as they did last year, which is a lot easier said than done. They're going to need their first-rounders from last year, Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal, to really take a leap, and they're going to need Daniel Jones to perform. So while I really like the way they've built this team up over the last year, I have a lot more questions than answers about their roster right now, and I could see them kind of falling back down to earth after a great season last year, but I could also see them winning 11 or 12 games if Daniel Jones can take another step up.
Yeah, going into last year, there was a lot of questions. I don't think there's as many questions now, but there's a lot of the same questions going on with Barkley. What's his future going to be like? Is he going to be able to sign a long-term deal? The receiver room is still not very good. I do like the Paris Campbell signing as a third guy getting out of Indy after not being able to get much playing time. I do think he's a guy who could be able to step up, but Isaiah Hodgins as a number one, Darius Slayton has been injury prone and not be able to do much lately. And like I said, I do like Paris Campbell signing, but Sterling Shepard is hurt, older, and not even listed as the top three guy. Jonah Hyatt, while was a good pick, he's listed as the fifth receiver right now. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, a pick from 2 years ago. Not the greatest player you want to see, pretty much just Kadarius Toney 2.0, but he hasn't been able to get going yet. We'll see what that receiver room is going to do. Darren Waller, great trade for them, but at the same time, I'm a little down on Waller after the past few years. He's getting hurt. He hasn't been able to perform as much, but we'll see what he's able to do with a quarterback who might be a little better than Derek Carr. I'm not too sure. And Daniel Jones, again, even after the big contract, can he take the next step up? I think he did take a step next year, but it wasn't a giant leap. It was just him being more consistent with the ball. He wasn't turning it over too much. He was able to run it more effectively. But Brian Dable has turned Josh Allen into a superstar. The question is, will he be able to turn Daniel Jones into a top 15, maybe even top 10 QB? The O-line was really bad the past few years, but Andrew Thomas has looked like a top tier tackle. Michael Smith was a great pick in the second round. Evan Neal, even though was a little disappointing last year, I think they're looking at him to be able to take a next step up. The guards are fine. They're guards. You don't need that much out of guards, but I think they're both solid players for Ben Bredesen and Mark Lewinsky. But this defense is where this team shines. Dexter Lawrence was fantastic last year. Leonard Williams is still good, even after taking a bit of a step down. Ashawn Robinson is a solid player, and they're looking at Thibodeau to be able to take that next step up to kind of join the ranks with other players who have been able to take those steps and become top-tier edge rushers. The linebacker unit was really bad last year, and they get Bobby Okereke, who is a solid player. I do like what he can bring. I think just in Indy, he was just kind of stuck behind Shaq Leonard. And I do think he'll be able to get a good time to shine in New York. Azeez Ojulari, another edge rusher who they're looking to be able to take that next step up along with Thibodeau. And the secondary is a pretty underrated unit. Adoree Jackson, after getting cut from Tennessee, has been actually fairly solid here in New York. Deontay Banks, their first-round pick this past year, looks really good so far. You got Darnay Holmes, who I'm actually pretty high on. I think he can do something. Xavier Kinney was a great safety last year. Jason Pinnock, a solid safety who I think could do something. Bobby McCain, the grid man who ruined me. But I do think this defense is easily there. That's what these Giants thrive on. Their defense last year was fantastic. That's what helped them get to the playoffs with Daniel Jones being just a consistent general manager. I think the NFC was really it was very top heavy last year. There wasn't a lot of depth, so they were able to sneak in as a 6th seed. But I think this year, besides the NFC South, it's a lot better of a grouping in the NFC. So if you told me they go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, I wouldn't be shocked. But if you told me these Giants won 10-11 games, get a 5, maybe even a 6 seed, I would not be shocked at all. It all depends on what Daniel Jones can do and will Barkley play for this team.
The last team in this division is another one that really fascinates me. It's the Washington Commanders, and I feel like everybody's penciling them in as the clear worst team in the division. I disagree with that. Washington won 8 games last year, which is only 1 less than the New York Giants. These guys really were not that bad. And while I think there is a world where the quarterback plays really bad, they only win 4 or 5 games, I like the rest of the roster enough to where I don't think that's going to happen. The quarterback position is the big question with Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell. Howell is a prospect I really like, and if he does win the starting job, I'm confident that he can be a competent young quarterback at the NFL level. Jacoby Brissett was also pretty solid last year in Cleveland, and I think regardless of what happens, it's going to be much more stable of a QB room than it was last year with the guys they rotated in and out over there. So I think if Sam Howell can be what I think he is, and if Jacoby Brissett can be what he has been, the quarterback position will improve compared to last year. The run game, I'm curious to see how these young guys do. Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson, not one of the better backfield groups in the league, but they're both talented players. They've got a great receiver trio, though. Terry McLaurin's a fringe top 10 receiver. Jahan Dotson missed some games last year, but when he was healthy, he was really good. And then Curtis Samuel's a talented player as well. The offensive line is one of the weaker areas of the offense. I want to see if Sam Cosmi can take the leap. I want to see what Ricky Stromberg does at center. But overall, the offense, I really like the receivers, and I'm curious to see if some of these other young guys step up. I will say it's a probably bottom 10-ish offense in the league, but the defense, this is a unit. They've got a phenomenal defensive line. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, all really good players. I'm really curious to see how Chase Young performs. He had the ACL tear in his second year, and he really has not come back the same player. There have been trade rumors with him. That has not happened. I think there's still a lot of talent that Chase Young has, and I think he can produce, and that pass rush should be one of the better units in the league. Jamin Davis finally started to come on towards the end last year, a high draft pick of theirs who really showed some signs of life after looking like a bust early on. They've got some intriguing talent at corner. They picked Emmanuel Forbes in the first round. Kendall Fuller's a good player. And then they have one of the best safety groups in the NFL. Derrick Forrest out of Cincinnati has turned into a really good young player. Cameron Curl is very, very solid as well. I didn't even mention Benjamin St. Juste at corner. I like what he was able to do last year. I thought he was pretty solid. Jartavis Martin, they picked him in the second round out of Illinois. He's a young guy who I'm really, really high on. So I think the secondary could be a really strong unit, along with their good defensive line. I think this team could surprise people, especially if Sam Howell plays like a top 20-ish quarterback in the NFL. And it wouldn't surprise me if these guys finished ahead of the Giants.
This team is going to be very similar to how the Giants were last year, with a really stout defense and just hoping to get some sort of consistent general manager type play from the QB position. They don't have as good of a running game as the Giants do, but the receivers are really good. Probably one of the more underrated units in the league. I love Terry McLaurin. I think he's top 10. Jahan Dotson, as a rookie last year, was hurt. But people don't really talk about how those first few games before he got hurt, he was really good. But with the likes of Olave, Wilson, Christian Watson, he does not get talked about. I think if he stays healthy this year, he's going to be able to perform and be really good. Curtis Samuel, another guy, shifty guy who they're going to love in the slot. I think whether it's Brissett or Howell, I think Brissett is more of a general manager type guy, but I think Sam Howell could be possibly a top 20 QB and possibly even step up and have a little more of a ceiling than a guy like Jacoby Brissett. And if Howell does win that job and does play like a top 20 QB, this team could be what the Giants were last year, and if the Giants are still good, this division could have 4 teams in the playoffs. I could see it happening. I don't think I'm going to predict it to happen, but if you told me there's a universe where all 4 of these teams make the playoffs, I wouldn't. I'd believe you. The O-line is going to be their weaker unit. It's going to be a question of, can this O-line just stay average enough to be able to help the running backs, Brian Robinson and Gibson, as well as whoever wins the QB job. But again, just like the Giants, it comes down to the defense. That front 4 with Young, Payne, Allen, and Sweat looks fantastic. I like Vidarian Mathis as a guy who come down on third downs. But like you said, Chase Young and also Montez Sweat have been rumored in trades, seeing what's going to happen with them. As of right now, they're still on the team. I don't think they're going to be some sort of preseason trades like a guy like Tyler Gardner-Johnson. If anything, I think Young might be dealt at the deadline if they'd start to underperform. But at least for right now, I think they're going to bank on the upside that Chase Young has, as well as Montez Sweat, and let them cook. I think the linebacker unit with David Mayo and Jamin Davis actually pretty solid. Cody Barton, a signing from Seattle, I actually really like him coming out. And then the corner unit was pretty bad last year with Kendall Fuller. Like you said, Benjamin St. Juste performed here and there, but I think it was mainly just Kendall Fuller. So getting a guy like Emmanuel Forbes, who's really athletic, pretty much the Devontae Smith of corners, is going to be really good. And their late-round pick, young studs of Cam Curl and Derek Forrest at safety are going to be a really nice unit that I didn't even know Derek Forrest was a player before we looked at the depth chart, and I sat there trying to figure out how I feel about all these teams. But this Commies team is the team what the Giants were last year. They're a really good defense, and if they have a solid enough offense with consistent QB play and a good run game, they're going to be able to win games. They won 8 games last year with Carson Wentz throwing 15,000 interceptions. And Taylor Heineke was consistent, and that's what helped them win games. If they had Taylor Heineke start all 17 games, they could have been a 7, 6th seed maybe, along with the Giants. If the NFC South didn't get a rep, they would have been in the playoffs probably. So I think this team, if Sam Howell or Brissett can give them a top 20 QB play, this team could sneak into the playoffs somehow.
All right, so with that, we will now say our order for what we think the division will look like, and this could change by the time we get to September. But I'm going to go a little bit hot with my order. I feel like I've gone too chalky. I want to get creative here. So I'm going to say Dallas 1, the Eagles' play calling disappoints, the Eagles 2, Washington 3, and the Giants 4.
I think you could pretty much put Dallas Eagles in any order and then Giants Commies in any order, and you would be right. I am going to go chalky because I'm biased, but I do want to say some hot stuff for later divisions. I'm just going to go Eagles 1, Cowboys 2, Giants 3, Commies 4. But if you told me all 4 make the playoffs, again, I would not be shocked.
Alrighty, so that's our NFC East preview. Let's now move to the MLB trade deadline where we've got some predictions over there. We have made it pretty much to the end of July, which means only one thing in the MLB season. We have made it to the trade deadline. We're going to list a few teams who we think are going to be heavy buyers, heavy sellers, and then we've got some predictions. We've got a list of like 15 or 20 players, and we're going to name where we think they end up. So I think a team who could be one of the biggest buyers is the Philadelphia Phillies with Dave Dombrowski. He's an aggressive GM. The team has been playing really well recently. I could see them adding maybe another outfield bat, maybe another starting pitcher. I think they would certainly look to do that. Another team I would look out to buy with the farm system they have is the Baltimore Orioles. This is a team who has really played well this year. With Tampa Bay kind of struggling, the Orioles could potentially pass them in the division, and I think they could make some noise as well. Another team who I would be inclined to potentially see buy, with the AFC wildcard race being kind of interesting, I feel like the Seattle Mariners are a team who is still really trying to win, even though they've been a little bit disappointing this year. I think they could potentially be buyers as well. And I would also look at the San Diego Padres. Despite all of the rumors of them selling, I really don't think they will. They've made their bed. Now it's time to lay in it. Don't sell off all these big-time pieces that you've acquired. I think you just got to keep going. Even though the team has been disappointing, add pieces to the lineup. Maybe add another pitcher to the bullpen or something, and I think the Padres can put themselves back into the playoff race. As for some sellers, this one kind of sucks because the Pittsburgh Pirates were really good through the first couple of months of the year. Now, I'm not sure if they have a ton to really sell off. I think they would like to keep guys like Mitch Keller and David Bednar, so I don't think we see one of those guys moved, but I suppose it is possible. I think the Chicago Cubs could be big sellers. They've got some players who are nearing the end of their deals. I think they're a team who's going to trade a lot of guys away. And then another team who could be a surprise seller. What about somebody like the Guardians in the AL Central? I'd be a little bit surprised if they did, especially now that Shane Bieber is injured. But had he been healthy, maybe they sell him off. Maybe they find value for some of these other older players. Maybe a guy like Ahmed Rosario. Not that he's been all that good this year and probably doesn't have a lot of trade value. Sticking to the AL Central, I'd also look at the Chicago White Sox. They do have quite a bit of pieces to sell. Maybe they're a lot more realistic than Cleveland because A, they're worse, and B, there's actually some reasonable pieces they could look at trading. So I think those are some teams that I would really look to watch out for.
Looking for buyers specifically, I want to go to the AL Central, and I want to look at the Guardians and the Twins. I think both of them are going to be the main two teams fighting for that division, and seeing how weak of a division it is, I think both teams are going to be looking to try and get more pieces to be able to beat the other team. I think the Guardians have been thrown into a lot of selling stuff with Shane Bieber. I've seen things with Aaron Savale as a potential maybe even being the top pitcher on the market. But I think Cleveland's going to want to be able to buy and try and be able to get past the Twins, who are only 2 games ahead of them. They have plenty of time to be able to catch up to the Twins, and if their hitting starts performing as it should be, then they could easily win the division. And a lot of younger teams with really good farm systems are probably going to be buyers, looking at Baltimore, looking at the Reds, and especially the Diamondbacks, who have started to fall off a bit. Last 10, as of recording this, they're 3-7, and they're only half a game ahead of the Phillies as the second wild card. They are third in the division. After leading the NL West for so long this year, they're now third behind the Dodgers and the surprise San Francisco Giants, who could possibly be buyers as well. This team has been performing incredibly with, if you look at their hitters, I couldn't tell you half their damn team. Like, Brandon Crawford's 35, and he's hitting like prime Brandon Crawford. Evan Longoria, I don't even think is a San Fran. I think he's in Arizona now, but he's playing great. And Logan Webb looks like a Cy Young candidate. And this team could probably get me, an 18-year-old skinny white kid, to go hit 250 and have a slugging at 400. It's ridiculous what this team is doing. They should be buyers, trying to be able to get pieces. I think they have enough farm system to be able to get a good hitter or two, and we'll see what they're able to do. Miami is another team who I think could be buyers. And then for sellers, I think the White Sox are the obvious ones, and then some bad teams like Kansas City, Oakland. I think those are going to be some sellers. I want to look at the Angels a little bit, see what they're going to do. I think they might kind of just stay where they're at. We'll see what happens in a few weeks with a certain somebody from Japan. But a surprise one that I might see is the Milwaukee Brewers might end up being sellers. We talked about a few episodes ago where they have stadium issues. I think there's ownership issues. I know Corbin Burns recently said that he wants to stay as a Brewer. But there's a lot of people on this roster that they might send off to be able to get prospects, as they don't have a lot of prospects. They have a good pitching staff, but Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta could be out the door. It's not a good division, so they could just stay where they're at, win the division, because Cincy has kind of cooled off lately. But I think Cincy is going to want to be able to buy, get some pitching help, and go win this division. And then you want to look at some older teams. You want to look at the Mets. You want to look at St. Louis, who St. Louis specifically has said they're going to be sellers, but they still want to be competitive. So I'm curious to see who they're going to be able to sell. I don't think they're going to sell many of their big players, but I think some of the pitching, some of the iffy guys they might be able to throw out there. The Mets I want to look at, they have some really expensive players on this roster. So I'm going to be cautious to see who they're going to trade, who they're going to be able to trade. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to want to be able to trade off all these big pieces and pay a lot of money for these guys. You mentioned the Cubs. I think they're going to be big sellers. I think guys like Cody Bellinger are going to be out the door. I'd say Ian Happ if he didn't sign a contract already, but he would have been out the door. And then the Padres, I do think they're going to be selling off a few pieces, but I don't think all those big pieces are going to be at the door. I think guys on expiring contracts are probably going to be leaving here just so that they can get some more farm system help, get some more consistency for this roster. Their pitching is good. As their hitting is an issue. If they can get some consistent hitters here and there, I think they'll be able to contend for one of these wild card spots.
All right, now we are going to be listing out our predictions. We have about 15 or 20 players who we have listed out. We're going to try to guess where they end up, and whoever gets the most right after the trade deadline, they get a cookie. I don't know. So here's a look at the players you'll see on your screen. I decided to go mostly chalky. I think a lot of these players stay where they're currently at. The big ones include Shohei Ohtani. I think the Angels are going to be too stubborn to trade him. If they don't think they're going to re-sign him, I think they should trade him because they're going to get a big haul. If he does get traded, the team I would really watch out for is the Los Angeles Dodgers because, one, that's a place where Shohei Ohtani realistically could re-sign, and they also have a phenomenal farm system, arguably the best in baseball. They have the best realistic offer for the Angels. Another big team who I'm convinced will not be sellers, as I mentioned earlier, is the San Diego Padres. They made their bed. They signed Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts to big contracts within the last year. They traded for Juan Soto. They've made their bed. It's time to lay in it. I think trading Juan Soto right now would be really stupid because you're not going to get as much as you traded for him last year. Sure, you would get a lot for Juan Soto, but not as much because he has one less year of team control. I've seen Blake Snell linked in trade rumors, but again, I really don't think they're going to do that. I think they're really trying to win. I think they're going to continue to be aggressive, and I think they honestly should. Even though they've underperformed, they had the talent to figure things out. The White Sox and Cardinals are two teams who I could see end up being sellers, but I kept all of their players on their own teams. With the White Sox, I don't think they're going to want to trade Cease or Luis Robert because they're a little bit too good, and I don't know if Eloy Jimenez has that much value now, especially with his new injury, which he seems to get injured like every other day. As for the Cardinals, I think they're going to be too stubborn to trade off some of these pieces. That's just the St. Louis Cardinals way. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Jordan Montgomery, I think all those guys stay. Jack Flaherty is a guy I do have on the move, though. I think the Philadelphia Phillies are going to look to add another arm into the rotation, so I had them acquiring Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals. As for some of my other movers, I do have the White Sox dealing off Lucas Giolito to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They'll get another pitcher to add to the rotation. Eduardo Rodriguez, I had the move have on the move from the Tigers to the Baltimore Orioles. They had the offer to get it done. Eduardo Rodriguez is on a big deal, but he is an opt-out after this year, which he presumably will look to take. And then I think the Cubs are really going to sell off some pieces, Cody Bellinger and Marcus Stroman in specific. So I think Bellinger goes to the Yankees. He just feels like a New York Yankee type of player. And then Marcus Stroman I have also going to the American League East with the Toronto Blue Jays, where he formerly played and started out his career. So the 5 players I have on the move are Giolito, Bellinger, Stroman, Rodriguez, and Flaherty, while everybody else here stays on their teams.
You went real chalky, and I wanted to have some fun. I want to try and see if I can get some cool brownie points for guessing where a lot of these players may or may not go. But a lot of these big players I do think are going to be able to stay. I think guys like Shohei are going to stay. There's so many rumors going around about where he may or may not go. You mentioned the Dodgers. I saw a report that they didn't even believe they'd be able to get Shohei at the deadline just because they don't have the pieces, apparently. I think looking at teams like with a good farm system is where you're going to be able to see. The Orioles I saw were linked. I saw a report earlier today where someone would trade Bryce Harper and Trey Turner for Shohei Ohtani as a rental, which sounds idiotic, but it makes me a little curious. Looking at the Padres, Juan Soto I have staying where he's at. I also saw a report where the Phillies might be a sneaky guy for Juan Soto, but again, I don't think he's going to be on the move. I think such big pieces for the Padres aren't going to be on the move. But Blake Snell and Josh Hader are guys who are on expiring contracts. I think those are the types of players that the Padres are going to want to be able to trade and get some assets for. I have Blake Snell going to Atlanta to help out the end of their rotation. They have a few issues here and there. Even though they have guys like Strider and Bryce Elder, they're going to want to get another guy for this playoff push. I think Blake Snell is a perfect guy for them. And then I have Josh Hader going to the Tampa Bay Rays. I looked at a lot of rosters, and they have a lot of issues in not just the bullpen, but their pitching staff as a whole. There's a lot of injuries right now, and I think getting an elite closer like Josh Hader will be really helpful to the Rays, who are in a really competitive division. And then we mentioned both the White Sox. I think they're big guys like Dylan Cease and Luis Robert may or may not stay because they might be asking for too much. I have Robert staying, but Dylan Cease, I want to be creative. I have him going to the Baltimore Orioles. I think with such a good farm system that they're going to want to go out and get an ace like Dylan Cease. And he still has a few more years of team control on there, so they don't have to pay him right now. They can wait a little bit and then go in and pay him. I have Giolito also going to the Dodgers. I think they're going to want to be able to get some pitching help with a lot of injuries they have right now. Eloy Jimenez, I don't know. I don't think he's going to get traded because of the injury, but again, I want to be creative. I have him going to the Miami Marlins. They do not have that many great hitters, and I think he could be a guy who could play in the corner outfield spot. Maybe you DH when Jorge Soler isn't DHing. I think they just need some hitting help, and Eloy is a good player if he can stay healthy. Looking at the Cardinals, I think their big pieces, Paul Goldschmidt and Ronald Arenado, are going to be able to stay. If they were to get traded, I do want to look at the Seattle Mariners. I think if they're going to go get some good piece, it has to be a hitter because their pitching's been good. There's been reports there the Cardinals want to try and get a guy like Logan Gilbert, so they could throw him in there. You could throw Ty France in, and boom, now you have Paul Goldschmidt, who's an MVP caliber player. I think they're going to be looking to trade their pitching staff, specifically looking at Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty. I have Montgomery also going to the Tampa Bay Rays because, again, they have a lot of injuries in their pitching staff. You have Shane McClanahan, but they have 2 or 3 guys who are out for the year. Drew Rasmussen's gone for the year. They're going to need some help. I think Joe Montgomery is a great player who can come in and help with the Rays. And it's the Rays, they're going to make whoever they have perform like an all-star player. And Flaherty, you had going to the Phillies. I have a different Red team, specifically the Reds. They need pitching help. They want to be able to contend for this playoff push. Let's go get Flaherty. I have Eduardo Rodriguez also leaving. I have him going to the Texas Rangers. I think after losing to Grom, they're going to need some starting pitching help. You have Nathan Eovaldi, who also has connections to Eduardo Rodriguez. So it'd be nice to see those two kind of come back to each other. The 2 Cubs players, Cody Bellinger and Stroman, I had the exact same landing spot as you. Bellinger to the Yankees, Stroman to the Blue Jays. Those two seem like the best fits and the most obvious if they were to get traded. And then a few players that I have staying. I have Shane Bieber staying with the Guardians. I have Salvador Perez staying with the Royals. I don't think they want to trade him just because it's Salvador Perez, and also he's expensive. Pete Alonso was a guy we brought up. I don't think, out of all the guys the Mets could trade, I think Pete Alonso is one that is interesting because he isn't on that big deal yet. But I think because they want to sign him because he's probably their best player right now, they're going to want to keep him. David Bednar from the Pirates, I do think he may or may not get traded. I have him going to the Braves. They want to push. They want to get there. They want to be able to make this playoff push. They want revenge against the Phillies for what happened last year. In the last big bite, the Mets do trade someone, Max Scherzer. He's got to go back to where it all started. I have him going back to Arizona where he was drafted. He didn't perform all that great as a Diamondback, but after he left, he was fantastic. And I think being able to pair with Zach Gallen, you don't have the stress of being the number one guy. Let him relax in Arizona, kind of relax, hot weather. He can soothe his body. And I think he's going to love it back in Arizona.
All right, so those are our trade deadline predictions. I like my chances, but I do appreciate you trying to get a little creative with this while I kind of kept it boring. So now we're going to briefly talk about the NBA Summer League, and then we will get to our fun and game segment at the end. So we're going to briefly talk about the NBA Summer League, which just wrapped up in Las Vegas with the Cavs beating the Rockets in the Summer League final. With the Rockets, they were led by Cam Whitmore out of Villanova, who obviously slipped in the draft. He ended up winning the Summer League MVP, really proving that teams probably overthought him. Jabari Smith also played super well with the Rockets, a former top 3 pick a couple years ago, and a guy who I'm not all that high on, at least compared to other people, but he did look really good. And then for Cleveland, their best player was Imani Bates, which is a really interesting storyline for me. Obviously, Imani Bates, 3 or 4 years ago, was regarded as a generational prospect. Him and Victor Wembanyama were viewed as these two can't-miss guys. And while Victor kept that stand-in going, Imani Bates certainly did not, falling towards the middle of the second round. But he looked really good. He was efficient as a scorer. We know he can put the ball in the bucket. It was not a surprise he was able to do that. But he was Cleveland's best player. And the fact that he was the best player for winning basketball is really what caught my eye. He was the best player by far on Eastern Michigan last year, but their team was awful. They were one of the worst teams in the MAC, despite having a player of his caliber. So the fact that he was able to really contribute to winning basketball really impressed me. Some other young guys who I was impressed by include Keontae George with the Utah Jazz. That kid is a total bucket. Him and my guy Ochai Agbaji, Rock Chalk, they both played really well together as a nice little duo for the Jazz. Speaking of Jayhawks, Jalen Wilson with the Brooklyn Nets was fantastic. I love seeing him produce. I think he's got a really good shot to be a good pro at the next level. A lot of the top players didn't play a whole lot. Scoot Henderson and Amen Thompson both got hurt in the first games of Summer League, but they both look good. Victor Wembanyama looked good. Asar Thompson with the Pistons looked really good. And speaking of the Pistons, we had a Marcus Sasser 40 ball to wrap things up. A lot of these young players were really, really impressive. I'm curious to see if they'll be able to keep it going here at the next level, but a lot of these guys really met and exceeded expectations, contrary to where they were drafted.
Yeah, like you're pretty much saying, I think a lot of those later first-round picks and the second-round picks were really standing out. You mentioned Imani Bates, a second-round pick was fantastic for Cleveland. You mentioned Cam Whitmore, who I think he fell out of the lottery. He was fantastic. Like you said, he won the MVP. And I think right now it looks like a lot of those teams are overthinking the Cam Whitmore situation. I think he's going to be fantastic. And for a young team like the Rockets, who looked really good throughout their Summer League games, I think they're going to be able to maybe make some waves. We'll see what they can do with Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, and all that jazz. I am curious to see what they're going to be able to do. But one name that you did not mention that I'm really curious to see what happens is Chet Holmgren. He was not drafted this past year, drafted 2 years ago, but he played this year in Summer League. He is eligible for Rookie of the Year because he was hurt all this past year. And he was pretty good in Summer League. I think he looks fantastic. And I kind of want to pick him for Rookie of the Year. It's going to be really difficult to see when you have guys like Victor, Scoot, Brandon Miller, the Thompson twins, Cam Whitmore even now. So we'll see what he can do, but I think a Thunder team that was fairly good and they had SGA come out as an elite player, Chet Holmgren looks fantastic, and I think he's going to be right alongside a guy like Victor and being one of those elite, just tall, lanky centers that just get it done. I think they're going to be just really good back and forth between these two. And I really am curious to see how SGA and Chet are going to be able to play on this Thunder team, who's really young. Josh Giddey looks like he's getting better, and I really like what Chet was able to bring. You mentioned Jabari Smith. He was fantastic, averaging 35 points a game in Summer League. I know it was only a few games, but that's a lot. Jaden Springer for Philly was actually really good. I know we didn't do much, but I do like what they were able to do. Benedict Mathurin was pretty solid, and you mentioned Keontae George. He looked fantastic. I want to keep talking, but I don't know basketball. So, but either way, I think a lot of these young teams like Houston, Cleveland with Imani Bates, Pistons look really good. The Jazz look pretty good, and Chet Holmgren, like I said, looks fantastic. The top guys like Victor, Scoot, Brandon Miller all look really good. So it's Summer League, so I don't want to overreact, but I do think a guy like Imani Bates is going to make the roster. And to be really curious to see what these young players in these late first and second round are going to be able to do on NBA rosters if they make it.
All right, so now let's take a look at our fun and game segment, and I'm excited for you guys to see what we have in store this time. So for those of you who are baseball geeks just like us, you understand the importance of those little red and blue bubbles. We're going to be guessing players based off of their StatCast page on Baseball Savant. We each have 2 pitchers and 2 position players that we're going to show each other, and we're going to have to guess which player it is. So I will send mine to Nickinator's first, and I will put it on the screen for everybody to see. So this first player is a position player.
Okay, so there's a lot of red, but it's not a lot of deep red. So they're good, but they're not like Aaron Judge good or Shohei good. Outfielder jump, I see. So I'm assuming they're an outfielder. They're really fast. The first guy that comes to mind is Alec Thomas from the Diamondbacks.
I mean, that's a creative guess. I mean, you certainly got it with the speed, but no, it is not Alec Thomas.
I thought he was pretty good. I think this could be one of like your guys. I know Geraldo Perdomo is one of your guys. I'm just sitting on the Diamondbacks at this point. I don't think Lourdes Gurriel is doing this good anymore. This could be also one of my guys, and you want to trick me. This could be a guy like Masataka Yoshida, but I don't think he would have this much red. I feel like he would have a lot more just white and blue.
I will say, I did consider, it's not Masataka Yoshida, but I did consider him. I actually looked at his page. There is quite a bit of red, but he is on the slower side compared to this player.
Okay. I keep wanting to go to young guys that you would think of. It's definitely not Corbin Carroll. He's a lot faster. So is Ellie De La Cruz. It's definitely not those two. They're 99, 100 percentile, so they're not that fast. It could be one of the Rangers. I don't think Adolis Garcia is that fast. Ezekiel Duran in the outfield, maybe. Could be Bubba Thompson in the outfield, but I don't think he'd have that much red.
No.
Can I get AL or NL?
He is in the American League.
Okay, so I'm sitting in the area. I don't think it's a Ranger. I don't think it's any of the Astros because Jordan and Kyle Tucker would have a lot more red. I don't think it's Miles Straw comes to mind. It could be Jared Kelenic. I don't think he's that fast, but I'll throw Kelenic out there.
It is not Jared Kelenic. Not a bad guess, though.
The barrel percent is really tricking me, so I feel like they don't get a lot of home runs, but they get a lot of really good base hits, singles, doubles. I'm just gonna hope it's not one of the A's players.
He's not on the A's.
I don't think it's a White. Okay, I don't think it's a White Sox. It could be Luis Robert, but I feel like he'd also have a lot more red. It's not Riley Green. He would not have this much red.
He probably does have quite a bit of red, but no, it's not Riley Green.
Okay. What's his name? It's the Twin center fielder. I forgot his name.
Byron Buxton?
Yeah, is it Buxton?
It's not.
Oh, I thought I had it for a second there because he hasn't been all that good this year, but he has the speed.
I would assume his barrel percent is higher than 16 though, and his K rate's not that high. But I mean, the speed you're on.
Yeah. Yeah, can I get a division? Start narrowing this down.
I hate to say this, but he is in the American League Central. That might make your life a little bit harder.
Okay. All right, so Twins, they got Buxton. Who's the other guy that they have? They have who's one guy I cannot think of. Gallo plays first base, and he's not that fast, so it's not Gallo.
No.
I don't think it's Max Kepler, unless Max Kepler is like that good. Apparently.
Nope.
Is this Stephen Kwan?
It's not Stephen Kwan.
Oh, I thought I was there for a second. He'd have a higher walk percent.
He would. That's the thing that would be the big difference, I think.
Yeah, as soon as I looked at walk percent. I don't think it's Eloy. I definitely don't think it's Robert. Is it one of the White Sox guys?
No.
Okay, so I'll ignore those guys. I don't even know who's in the Royals outfield at this point. So it's not. Okay, you say it's not Riley Green. Who's in the Guardians outfield? Is it SpongeBob? Is it Oscar Gonzalez?
It's not SpongeBob.
No, man. Who's in the Royals outfield? Who? I don't even know. The one guy I can think of, I don't think he's on the Major League roster. Is he? Is it Kyle Isabel, maybe?
No.
MJ Melendez, maybe?
Nope.
Drew Waters is up there.
Nope.
Is it one of the Royals guys?
No.
Oh, well, I'll ignore the Royals. So it's not a Royal. It's not a White Sox. So it's... I don't know who else is in those outfielders. Who else is in the Guardians outfield? Josh Naylor's a first baseman. And he'd have a lot more red. Miles Straw, maybe?
Nope. You have not said his name. I'll give you that.
I haven't said his name. Okay, that makes me feel better. Maybe it's a Tiger. Is it Austin Meadows? I know he's on the Tigers.
No, he doesn't play.
He doesn't play?
I don't think he's played in 3 months because of his mental health. He missed a lot of time last year, too. He has not hit a home run since we traded for him.
Is it a Kilbadoo?
No.
Oh, I thought that was it. Is it Matt Vierling?
Matt Vierling. There you go.
There it is.
A lot of red. He's balling out.
Matt Vierling is him. I loved him. I was sad he left. But I will send you my first one. This is also a position player.
Okay. Whoa. There's a lot of stuff that's really popping out here. So this guy hits tanks. But he also has really good plate skills. This seems a lot like Jose Ramirez.
It is not Jose Ramirez.
I hope somebody gets it on the first guess today, but that seems really hard. He hits the ball super hard. Super high barrel rate, super high hard hit rate. The rest of his game isn't good, but clearly this guy hits tanks. What if he's just like some random like offensive player who you would not think hits this well? What about... The
only like random player I can think of that would look like this is like Josh Naylor, and it's not Josh Naylor.
Okay. So he's not a Guardians corner infielder. Got it. I'm thinking of like good players, but they're all faster than this. Corbin Carroll was in my head, but he's faster. So is Luis Robert. It can't be him. I feel like this isn't right. His K rate's going to be lower. But what about like Jorge Soler?
It is not Jorge
Yeah,
Soler.
he definitely does not have a 75 K rate.
Or 68 walk rate.
Nick Castellanos?
No, his is not nearly as red as
Okay.
this. I did check.
Okay. This does seem like it would describe him, but yeah, I wouldn't think it'd be that high.
You want me to help narrow it down a little bit?
Yes, I need a hint.
He's in the American League.
Okay, back to the Yordan Alvarez.
It is not Yordan, but that's a good guess.
Okay, I was proud of that guess too, but I feel like that'd be too obvious. I feel like this isn't someone who's like obvious. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has hit the ball really hard. What about him?
That's a good guess, but it's not him.
Okay. I like that guess too.
I
I thought
think-
that was less obvious.
I think he was an All-Star this year. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure about
that definitely narrows it down. But you didn't seem overly confident. So that means it's not like an obvious all-star.
I might be just stupid, but I think it's more of an obvious
There's a name in
All-Star.
my head, but I know it's not him because I almost did him. So the name I'm thinking of is Nathaniel Lowe, but I almost did him for you. So I don't think it's him. Well, it's not him. That was not his page. Who else would work? Who probably was an all-star? I think it's an infielder because it doesn't say anything about his outfield stuff, and it doesn't say anything about framing, so it's not a catcher.
I was wondering how long it would take you to realize that.
I probably should have figured
but
that out sooner.
Yeah, so he was an All-Star. I was just being dumb.
He was?
An All-Star. Yeah, he was an All-Star.
An all-star infielder in the AL. I looked at quite a few American League All-Stars, so this should help me. Who are in the infield? It's not Josh Young. I saw his page a couple days ago. It's not him. Corey Seager.
It is Corey
There
Seager.
we go.
There you go.
All right, I'll send my next one now. We'll do a pitcher now.
That works.
We've been seeing a lot of red. How about we get some blue in there?
Oh my God. Michael Lorenzen. No, it's definitely not.
No.
Okay. Who's just a bad pitcher? That's the question. Okay, this isn't one of the pitchers I did. Good. Okay. Who just sucks at pitching? It could be a Philly. I wouldn't be shocked. Who doesn't throw fast? Is this one of the Rogers twins, Taylor or Trevor Rogers?
No.
Okay. I saw the fastball velocity and I thought maybe. It could be Zach Greinke because he doesn't throw hard at all.
That's not a bad guess, but no, it's not Greinke.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of who just doesn't throw hard. It'd be really funny if this was like Albert Pujols' pitching Statcast.
No, this player is a pitcher.
That's good. Good to know. This could be some sort of Philly reliever. I wouldn't be shocked. I think Gregory Soto throws harder than 7 percentile, so
I don't think
it's
his
him,
walk
but-
percentage is red. It's not Gregory Soto.
Yeah, it's probably not. He has like a 4 ERA or something.
I would assume his K percentage also is not blue.
Yeah, that's fair. Who just sucks at baseball? I don't think it's any of the Pirates guys. It could be like Contreras. I don't remember his first name.
Roansy
but I don't
Contreras?
think he would have done him. Yeah, that
It's
one.
not him.
I didn't think so. Can I get the conference?
He is in the American League.
Oh, back to the American League. Alright. It could be one of the Rays relievers, but I don't know off the top of who they have. It's probably not Yanni or Cano. I know it's not Felix Bautista. He'd have so much red.
Yeah, both of those guys
Um,
probably have a lot of red. I looked at Cano's page. It's definitely not him. And it's not Bautista.
Okay. Good. For the Central, is this Karinchak maybe?
No.
No, he throws harder.
Yeah,
No,
he
throws
would not
harder.
have... what's his fastball velocity? 7. Yeah, no.
No, it's not. This is... I know what? I got it. It's Manoa's minor league Statcast.
That's not a bad guess. I thought about him, but I thought that'd be too obvious. No.
This could be like Chris Bubich on the Royals.
No.
Could be Lance Lynn, maybe. Who else is here? Framber Valdez has a lot more red. It's definitely not him. It could be one of the Mariners guys, like Gilbert, Kirby, maybe Robbie Ray, but I don't know if he's even pitched at all this year.
You have not said his name yet.
Okay. Can I get the division?
He is in the AL Central.
Back to the Central.
Back to
Okay.
the Central.
Okay, on the Twins.
No.
It's not. I don't think
didn't
it's
realize that
Joe
was a
Ryan.
question.
I'm assuming it's not Joe Ryan.
No.
On the Guardians. Zach Plesac got cut, so he's gone. Could be Aaron Savale, maybe?
Nope.
No, okay. Tigers, they have Eduardo Rodriguez and Michael Lorenzen, and that's about all I know.
How did you forget Scooby-Doo? Tariq Skubal. I don't think he's played enough, though, to have a complete page.
He's played like 2 games.
Yeah, I don't think he would have enough.
And Mize hasn't played at all.
Yeah, no, it's not one of them.
I don't even know if Brady Singer's played yet, but I don't think it's him. He threw harder than that. The White Sox, this could be Kopech, maybe?
Nope.
Clevenger, possibly. I don't think it's Dylan Cease. It could be Lucas Giolito.
Nope.
Darn. Is it a White Sox?
No.
Okay. Okay, so the last one was... I don't remember who the last one was. I already forgot.
The last what?
The last person that you
Matt Vierling.
I don't remember. Okay, Vierling. So it was a Tiger, so I'm going to avoid Tigers. Who is it? Is it Pablo Lopez?
No.
I didn't think so. He's better than that. Who else is on this team? It's not Sonny Gray. He's better than that.
No.
Kenta Maeda?
Nope.
I'm just throwing names out there. Jorge Lopez.
Nope.
Oh, no. Is it Jordan Lyles on the Royals?
Nope. I wonder what his page looks like. Oh, God. I don't even want to envision that.
I'm just curious now. I just want to see his StatCast. I'm just really curious now. And I have no idea. Is it a reliever or a starter?
It's a starter.
It's a starter on... Okay. So, it's not Bieber. It's definitely not Bieber. It's not Savale. Oh, Lyles' page isn't that bad.
Oh, really?
There's more red in this one. There's more red in this one. The Twins, there's Lopez... It's not Joe Ryan. They have, I don't even know. I don't think it's Sonny Gray. I'm just going to assume it's not. It's definitely not Duran. And he's also not a starter. Jordan Balzanovich.
Nope.
Who else is on the... It says not White Sox. Who's on the Royals pitching staff? There's Bubich. There's Jordan Lyles. He says not Brady Singer. Maybe Ryan Yarbrough.
Nope.
Maybe it's a Guardian and I'm just forgetting who they exist. Logan Allen, maybe. It's not Savale. McKenzie's been hurt and he's also not that bad. Maybe Kyle Quantrill.
Nope.
Which team is it? I'm losing it here.
He plays for the Guardians.
It is on the Guardians. Is it Gavin Williams?
Nope.
Sandlin's a starter. Eli Morgan, I think, is a reliever. So I don't think it's him. Who else is a starter for this team? Have I said their name at all?
Maybe. But not as like a guess.
God. Okay. Is it Bieber?
It's Shane Bieber.
This is Shane Bieber?
This is Shane Bieber's page. Yep.
What the hell? Nick's gonna hate this. Oh my Lord, that's disgusting.
This idea to pick Bieber was clearly way too good.
Jesus, this is awful. Oh my Lord. Okay, I said they're gonna keep Bieber. At this point, just trade him. Dear God.
I think that's part of the reason why he's been in trade rumors, because like his advanced numbers are not good.
I knew he had like a disappointing season, but like I'm like, it's Shane Bieber. He has a Cy Young. He will be fine. Maybe not. If his contract's ending, just get him out of there.
I think he has. He's not a free agent this year. I don't know if he has 2 or 3 more years. I think, or maybe I think he has 1 more year.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent next year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's. Hold on. So he's on arbitration for the next 2 years, and then he's a free agent in 25. But he's not on a long-term deal. Anyways, here's yours. It is also another pitcher.
Whoa, a lot of red. Okay, this guy gets a lot of swings and
Lots of
misses.
red.
He throws super hard, but he walks a lot of guys. That's his one weakness. This screams reliever.
I think if anyone's going to get this first try, I think this is the one that'll probably get take first try.
I looked at a few relievers,
don't let me down.
so I can narrow that down a little bit. It has to be like some flame-throwing closer. I looked at Johan Duran's page. It's not him. I don't think it's Emmanuel Clase. I don't think he's
been that good either.
Yeah, no, he would. I don't think Clase would have this much red. Tricky. I want to get it first try. It's not. Gregory Soto's popped up in my head. It's obviously not him.
Gregory Soto.
Who throws super hard but allows a ton of walks as a reliever? Who would fit this? Alexis Diaz.
It is not Alexis Diaz. I did look at him. He actually does not have this much red. Like, not nearly as much.
Okay, that was a pretty good
guess. I looked at his, and it was a good guess, but this really disappointed me. I was sad, because I was going to do him.
Okay. Okay, now I can guess a little bit more freely, now that I don't have the pressure of getting it first try.
Yeah.
It's not Felix Bautista, is it?
It is Felix Bautista.
Oh my goodness. I was going to guess him, but you mentioned him earlier. I didn't think you were going to do that. But second try is pretty good. I'll take it.
I'm getting cooked. Alright. I got to hope one of these is in the National League.
Okay. Here, let me get my next one. I have 4 in my camera roll. I'm forgetting which ones I used.
I'm just going in order.
Yeah, I'm already out of order. This is not ideal. Okay, we'll go with that one.
You can put one and just I'll figure out if it's the same or not.
I got it now. So it's another position player.
Okay. It's a position player, kind of fast, but my first idea is Javi Baez, but he does not hit the ball nearly that hard, so it's definitely not him.
Javi had some, zeros on his page. It's not him.
Okay. I want to go to, Tim Anderson, but again, he does not hit the ball that hard.
I would guess Tim Anderson's, barrel rate and exit velo would be also close to 0.
Probably. Now, who the hell swings at everything? That's the question. This feels like a Nick Castellanos, but I know this isn't Castellanos' page. I know it's not Schwarber because he actually walks a good bit. I don't think it's any of the Reds. It's definitely not it might be a Diamondback outfielder. It's not Carroll. I know that much. 99 barrel percent. God damn. Who would just hit the ball hard and just swing at everything? Tatis isn't that slow. He's a lot faster than that. I want to get close to it. You know what? Is this Cody Bellinger?
No.
Oh, I thought I was going to have it for a second. Okay. Who else would swing at everything? Tyler O'Neill.
Nope.
Rats. You would give me 3 American League. Who in the American League would do this? Not Austin Hayes. Not Santander. None of the Braves players would ever do that. I don't think Vladdy would K this much. What's their defense? Is this Bo Bichette?
No.
Oh, I thought I was good for a second. Can I get the league?
He's in the American League.
You would. Oh my god. If it's another AL Central, I swear to God, is it Luis Robert?
No.
Okay.
It's not the worst guess.
I wonder what the Rangers would do. This. You said you looked at Nathaniel Lowe, so I don't think it's him. You also mentioned you looked at Josh Jung, so I don't think it's him. It also doesn't say the outfielder thing, and it doesn't say frame rate. So it's an infielder. I know it's not Corey Seager. It could be Marcus Semien, but I don't think it's Marcus Semien. I'll throw Marcus Semien out there, though.
No.
Okay. It could be one of the Mariners. This could be Eugenio Suarez.
Nope.
This isn't. I know. Okay. It's not Josh Naylor, is it?
No.
Okay. So I know it's not J Ram. He actually is a good plate skills. I don't think it's any of the Angels infielders, just because they all kind of suck. This could be like Bregman, maybe, because I know he's had a down year, but I don't think he hits the ball that far. It could be the shortstop who was really good in the playoffs.
Jeremy
Then
Pena?
I'm forgetting. Yeah, it could be Pena.
It's not Pena.
It's not Pena. Can I get the division? If you say El Central, I swear to God.
This player plays in the American League Central.
I hate you. What are you doing to me? Okay. It's not a single Tiger. I guarantee you it's not a Tiger.
I
Is this
wish.
Jake Berger?
It's Jake Berger. There you go.
There we go. Jake Berger hits the ball real damn hard. I think he has the record for hardest hit ball in White Sox history, actually.
Well, there you go with the
115 or something.
100 mags exit velo.
Yeah, nope, that makes sense.
That was a good pull.
Jake Berger would do that. As soon as I went to the El Central, we'll go with the other position player. Yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting one. So this guy has really good plate discipline. That's the first thing that pops out.
Mm-hmm.
He's an infielder who does not have a good arm, so I would guess he's probably a first baseman. Yeah, he's not super fast, but he's an overall well-rounded offensive player who's great at drawing walks. Interesting. I don't think it's Matt Olson, is it?
It is not Matt Olson now. I think he'd have a lot more red.
Yeah, I would assume his average exit velo is higher than 28. I'm gonna guess a bunch of first basemen, and it's gonna be like a third baseman. Could it be? This is tricky. Again, it's not Nathaniel Lowe. I saw his page. What about like Andrew Vaughn? Because he is decent offensively. He just can't field.
It is not Andrew Vaughn, but I do like the guess.
Okay. I saw Josh Naylor's page a couple days ago. I don't think it's him, but I'll guess him. I think his arm's still a lot stronger than that, though. He has a good arm. It's definitely not Josh Naylor.
No, it's definitely not Josh Naylor. And I also don't think he walks that much.
Yeah, you're right.
Exit velo would be like 90 or something.
Yeah. Ryan Moda with the A's?
No, I didn't do an A's player just because I knew I wouldn't get a single A's player.
Okay,
so
that's probably better. Derek Hall has not played enough. And he does not have this much red. It can't be him.
No.
Spencer Steer.
That's a good poll, but it's not Spencer Steer.
Okay. Is it a first baseman? I don't want to keep guessing first baseman if it's not one.
He can play like corner outfield, but I think he's mainly a first baseman. At least.
Yeah, it lists him as an infielder. So, okay. I'll keep thinking of first baseman.
Yeah. I would.
It's not like Brandon Drury or something, is it?
No, he's like everything. I don't think he'd count as like a first baseman.
Okay. Lamont Wade.
That is the craziest poll.
Is it actually?
It is Lamont Wade.
Yes!
I wanted to find a guy on like the Giants who was like doing good, and Lamont Wade StatCast kind of shouted that at me. And he's been good. He has like an 838.
He's a good player,
OPS.
yeah.
He's probably their best position player.
Wow.
Like I said, he can get anyone to hit like 250, and he's hitting like 280.
And I thought Jake Berger was a challenge. All right, here's my last one.
The hardest one that I got. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of red. Okay. Okay, so who throws hard as hell? Okay, so this looks like a reliever, kind of like Felix Bautista. Which is different from Bautista's, right?
Yeah, this is not Felix Bautista.
He
had like hundreds.
Just because it looks so similar.
It is similar, yeah, with the walk rate being low and everything else being high.
Yeah, you mentioned Duran, so I don't think it's him. I think Jose Alvarado could be an option. I'll throw his name out there.
Nope.
Darn, I got a little excited. I don't think this is Class A's. You mentioned it earlier, and I also just don't think he'd have this much.
No,
red.
It's not Class A.
I think so. Let me look at the American League Central for a second. Not a damn Royal would do that. Is this a Royal Chapman?
No.
Oh,
that's not a bad guess, though.
It's not a White Sox, because I don't think it's Liam Hendrick. I don't think he's played enough.
No.
Yeah. I don't think there's a damn good Tigers reliever right now.
Our bullpen's actually not that bad. We've got some good players, but no, he's not on the Tigers.
I don't think so. I don't think it's on the AL Central, because if it's not Duran and it's not Class A, I don't think it's anyone else. Because you've only done American League players, I'm going to sit National League. It could be a guy like AJ Minter, but I don't think he throws that hard. I don't think it's a Marlin. It's not a Met because Diaz is gone. The Nationals are too bad. It could be like Devin Williams, maybe?
I like the guess, but no.
Okay. I'll say that division. It could be Jordan Hicks, maybe?
Nope.
Oh. I don't think it's Lexus Diaz, because you guessed it earlier, and I also just looked at it, and I don't think it's that.
Nope.
I don't think the Cubs have that kind of good reliever. Is it Camilo Duvall, maybe?
Camilo Duvall. I had to throw my guy in there at the end.
I thought of that a little bit ago, but I was like, I'll come back to it in a little bit. But that is one of your guys. I had a feeling you'd throw one of your guys in there.
Yeah, I didn't want to guess. I didn't want to say him in the Felix Bautista guess because I named other guys like him. I wanted to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. That's a lot more red for Duvall than I thought.
I mean, he was an all-star. Oh, dear God. Lordy, I don't even know where to begin.
Have fun with this one, buddy. Have fun, buddy.
I don't even know where to begin. I'm lost. He doesn't throw super hard. I mean, he's just kind of that. He's just kind of blah. This is the most blah player in the world. Who is the most blah pitcher I can think of? Watch it be like Bryce Elder. I don't think it is, though. I feel like it's just someone... I think it is going to be someone who's, painfully average. Give me... I'm trying to think of the good one. Give me... Luis Severino.
That's not a bad guess, but it is not Luis Severino.
Yeah, he has not had a good year, so I could see the blue being there.
No. He is indeed painfully mid.
This player is mid, or Luis Severino is mid?
Severino's mid.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at.
I was hoping I'd get a hint there.
Do you want a hint? I'll give you.
Yes.
I'll give you the league.
Please do.
It is a National League player.
Alrighty. It's not Bryce Elder, is it? I know he is a
It
little
is not
low.
Bryce Elder, no.
Okay, I thought that'd be too obvious. Let's go with, I don't know, Jordan Montgomery.
It is not Montgomery now.
Okay. What about Merrill Kelly?
It's not a bad guess, but no, it is not Kelly.
Okay. What about... This isn't Sandy's page, is it? I looked at his. This is not him, is it?
No, it's not Sandy.
Okay, I looked at him. I didn't think it was him. Is it a starter?
It is a starter, yes.
I figure. If it was a reliever, they'd probably be more red.
Yeah, most good relievers have some sort of red on there.
Freddie Peralta?
It's not a bad guess, but no.
What about Tony Gonsolin?
Nope.
This is gonna continue to be ugly.
Shane Bieber all over again.
At least Shane Bieber's good, or supposedly. I'm gonna guess David Peterson.
No, it's not Peterson.
What
The
about
division?
yeah,
It is an NL Central.
Central?
Central.
Okay. Jack Flaherty?
Nope.
It can't be Justin Steele. He's been too good.
It's not Justin Steele now.
It's not Nick Lodolo. He throws harder than that.
No, he definitely throws a lot harder.
Yeah. I am stuck. Brandon Woodruff.
Nope.
I don't even know how consistent of like a starter he is. I feel like he's more of a reliever. But what about like Adbert Alzolay? Is he still in the Cubs?
It is not Alsa right now.
Hmm.
I think he's on the Cubs.
I thought
but
so.
Even then, no, it's not. I can give you another big hint that'll probably give you the answer.
I don't know how else I'm gonna get it.
He was an All-Star.
Oh, okay. Mitch Keller throws way harder than that. It can't be Mitch Keller.
No, it's not Mitch Keller.
Who else was an All-Star? Marcus Stroman?
It is indeed Marcus Stroman.
Wow, I would have never. That's Marcus Stroman? Oh my goodness.
That is indeed Marcus
That's like
Stroman.
just as bad as Shane Bieber's page, but at least Stroman's been really good this year.
It's Shane Bieber.
Oh my word.
All over again.
That was a hard one.
His StatCast page is not good. Yeah, he's really good. He's actually playing good. It's just his like StatCast is just not good.
Wow.
What's Justin? As soon as you said Justin Steele, I got a little nervous, and I thought you would just go right to Marcus Stroman, but no.
I didn't think it'd be
well
him. Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, for a guy with a sub-3 ERA, you wouldn't think he'd have this much blue.
Nope, not at all. So that'll wrap up the episode. Let us know how well you did at home with these guesses down below in the comments. I'm going to assume none of you guys thought of Lamont Wade before I did, or Jake Berger before he did. So if you have any final words before we wrap up that you'd like to share, you can do that.
Not much, just Guardians trade Shane Bieber. He's really bad. He should be a Philly. Really, please.
All right, so next episode will be pretty soon. I hope everybody enjoyed, and yeah, peace out.